Hi there, welcome to FMCG by Alex. Today I would like to talk to you about category and product management. So this works at multiple levels and from two sides. So you have the brand side and the retailer side. I'll go into that in a moment, but it starts with mapping the category and the players. The category means like, okay, who is actually all playing in your category? So which products are there? Are there any substitutes, any adjacent categories that you need to consider? And the players means actually the companies that are producing products that fit into that category. So let's say you have peanut butter, it could also connect to spreads, anything you use as stuff to put on your bread, basically, or as an ingredient. Where peanut butter is also sometimes a cooking ingredient or a baking ingredient. That is actually where you are competing with other brands. So mapping out all these players, it's simply creating an Excel sheet with all of the players, all of the products that they have, all of the features. So feature comparison is very important. So feature comparison can be taste, can be variety. So your peanut butter can be just peanut butter. You also have peanut butter with, let's say, sea salt or caramel sea salt, something like that. So a lot of different flavors. I think there's company that does maybe 25 different flavors of peanut butter. That's feature comparison. Means that there are multiple varieties. Quality, now, is it a premium product? Meaning, are we praising ourselves for using only natural ingredients? Are we actually looking at a cheap mass-produced product, basically, where quality is acceptable, but maybe not the premium variety, meaning also the price is lower. Uh, then also pack sizes. So there are like family jars, there are smaller, travel jars or stuff like that. It's for every single product. It's different how it's packaged, obviously, but all these features need to be compared along with that. So there's actually a feature comparison. And then, of course, last but not least, you put the price that fits to each of these SKUs. So you have a nice comparison for prices. Then important to map as well is, of course, consumer preferences and trends. So let's say if the trend is, let's say in the Netherlands, it's very much towards organic, it's towards sustainable. Sustainability is a very big thing in this country. Outside of the Netherlands, not so much yet, but some countries have, some countries don't. But I mean, consumer preferences can be that a certain type of flavor is very, upswing. There are basically trends that things have to be sustainable. Everyone is making something with on the road to on the way to planet proof and all those things. All these certifications are also part of trends. Um, Plus, is actually a category in upswing or decline. So basically, meaning if it's going up, meaning the category is being expanded. You had it a couple of years ago in the Netherlands for craft beer. So people were looking for craft beer all the time, more varieties, more flavors, more, meaning that retailers were adding shelf space for craft beer. Now it's shrinking again because there are other products that are trends. If you look at seasonal products, also that can sometimes be a trend where shelf space is increasing in the summer for certain items and decreasing in the winter, and the other way around. So that's basically something you need to keep in mind when you are organizing your category management on multiple levels. So this both goes for retailers and brand owners, obviously, but identifying where to play. So what are the focus areas of your retail store, or as a brand owner, where do you want to play? In essence, it's fair value. So fair value is actually what is expected by the consumer as what does it need to do? So peanut butter needs to taste like peanuts. It needs to have a decent taste. So basically, that is the basic value of peanut butter. If, let's say, peanut butter needs to have chunks of nuts in it, for example, and that is the standard. So you have smooth variety and they have the nut variety, but I'm just taking this as an example. Then you, being the only one who doesn't add that, then you are below fair value. If you are the one who has the most chunks in it, for example, if that is something that is appreciated by consumers as being a superior product, yeah, then it's above fair value. So fair value is basically the minimum expectation. So okay, in order to play in the category, that is actually basic quality level, the basic value you need to provide to different consumers. It can also be packaging, it can be sizes, that can be anything basically that has to do with the P of the product, basically. And then you have points of differentiation. So that can be cost leadership. You say, okay, I'm just producing the cheapest peanut butter in the world, and it's edible, but that's it basically. So people want to have something cheap to so bread doesn't just taste like bread, but I need to put something on my bread. Then that is a point of differentiation. Is only the price, then you're the cheapest. But other things are okay. The flavor can be, the packaging can be, the fact that it comes in maybe small size. So, for example, you have a household with 4 or 5 people, and only one of them likes peanut butter, the rest is allergic. Now, then you don't want to maybe have a big jar, because at some point it maybe expires by the time everybody, the one person who eats it is actually finished with the peanut butter. So on the other hand, a big household, if you have like 20 kids or something like that, orphanage of some kind, then you want to have like a big package, or multi-pack maybe. That's something like that. So these are things that are points of differentiation. Plus, luxury of packaging also is part of it. So if you look at gourmet peanut butter, you can't put it in the same jar as the cheap variety, basically. So this is one of the things that is important to identify. What is the fair value, the baseline of the market, and then in essence, you need to be above the baseline with at least two different points of differentiation in order to really have some success. Can be different. Everybody can have different points of differentiation, but it is a matter of being different in the market, not so much cheaper. That is actually the strategy that otherwise you have a race to the bottom, being cheaper. So at some point you can't make peanut butter for nothing. No, that is the next step, and your profit margins are very much under pressure. So that is linking also to category growth. So category growth is actually where what is the potential of the category. Like I mentioned, is the example that at some point there is a hype. Say craft beer in the Netherlands was a hype. Therefore, the category is growing, because putting more on the shelf means we sell more varieties. But in some cases, categories are stagnant, or at least or maybe even shrinking in some cases, because something else is actually overtaking it. So you have to imagine that supermarkets, in essence, or retailers, are having a limited number of shelves that they can fill. There's not room for every product in the world, obviously. So something in, something out. So meaning, if I put some new product in, I need to take something out. Other than off-location displays, but I mean, at some point the supermarket is full. It's not made of elastic, basically. That's the thing I've been told several times, also when I was trying to push in products. And working for the supermarket myself, of course, I have been on the receiving end of that as well. So you look at which categories are actually bringing in, partly the customers. So what are the must-have categories? Which categories actually are identified as core growth categories? So if you look at in the Netherlands, for example, Albert Heijn, the largest supermarket, has identified chocolate as one of the differentiating categories for them. So they are trying to be the biggest in chocolate and having the most varieties and all the sorts of gourmet and exotic flavors, basically. So that was a couple of years ago. It might have changed now. There might be a different focus now, but this also one thing. What is the destination product of your supermarket? And as a brand owner, of course, you can play to that strength of the supermarket. So if there's a supermarket chain that says, okay, we really want to grow this category, this is the key account manager's job, other than just managing the budget and having a nice time visiting and talking about hobbies of the buyer, is getting information like that, where the category is heading. A good key account manager, I've worked with some very good ones, they were always able to get that information and get that insight. Looking at you, Harlan, by the way, from UVIT, one of the best key account managers I've ever worked with. Basically, he was very adept at doing that sort of thing. So wanted to make sure that category growth is weight in the identifying where to play. So you can also see if one category is in decline as a strategic choice. This is maybe not at key account management for the key account management team. They're basically more executing, but let's say this is part of identifying where the opportunities are. Hey, this other category is really in, getting a boost. For example, I'm trying to say here in the Netherlands, we had a couple of years ago, we had seltzer, hard seltzer, basically as a new product, new category, which really went crazy at some point. It's died down again since then. But I mean, that is one of the things. Okay, if you have the opportunity to produce it as well, so meaning you have all the equipment, and the only thing you need to do is actually switch it around to launch a new product, which you have the technology for. This information is very vital for survival of brand owners. So you're looking at launching new brands where you want to play. Then economic indicators. This also has to do with this price point thing. So if you say, look, cheap products, they do quite well for the yeah, I think in every economic climate basically. But you look at growth for the lower end products are usually under stress because when people are let's say you're looking at targeting lower income families, they need to scale back a little bit on various items. So maybe the staple foods not, but if you look at, let's say, a cheap variety of cookies, basically the cheapest cheap peanut butter, to keep with the peanut butter analogy here, um, that would be something they might save on. So meaning, okay, let's not buy it. Let's buy something, or just eat bread without anything on it because we can't afford peanut butter anymore. So this is one of the things that usually the impact is higher on brands that are playing in the lower price tiers. Premium, I'm not saying that that hasn't got its own problems then, but if you look at premium, so if you have a high income, um, you will not, you know, be that impacted by economic downturn. Meaning, that, okay, I have to be a bit more frugal. Okay, I'm not buying a new car this year. I'm not going on holiday for a time. So those things are, if you are in the premium, but I still want to have my peanut butter that costs you $5, for example. So that is one of the things that you need to keep in mind as economic indicators are very important in determining where to play. Premium, like I said, is less volume on in general, but maybe a little bit more immune to recession. And if you're looking at the lower priced items, you can go like the fire brigade when the economy is good, but problems might arise with growth when you are looking at a economic downturn. So category management from a retail perspective, retailers on one hand have a little bit of a double-edged sword here. So on one hand, they're trying to concentrate as many suppliers as possible. So you want to have as few suppliers as possible because of accounting and finance reasons, so administrative reasons. So everything on one invoice basically. But on the other hand, if you, for example, have one category where there is only one player or two, it doesn't give consumers much choice. It also is giving a lot of power to suppliers. So you have disproportionate supplier power, meaning your trading terms negotiations, your annual budget talks with them might not go so well because they know you need them because they're your only supplier. So that is the game to balance it out. So it doesn't mean that you can't have one and not the other. So sometimes smaller suppliers are being pushed towards groupage distributors where they have to go through someone else to get on the shelf. But the fact is, it's on the shelf, and there is a choice for consumers. So in essence, like I would say, it's a balancing act where stores actually don't want to have just one variety of peanut butter on the shelf, but maybe they want to have five or six. And that is also one of the interesting developments in the Netherlands. You have a very a successful chain here called Dirk van den Broek, which is a supermarket chain, which is not the biggest in the Netherlands, but they are the most successful one when it comes uh, to sales, basically. Yeah, sales per store. So these guys are a bit like a no-frills supermarket. They have everything. Everything is good quality. They are the cheapest with A brands. So A brands are usually, I think, probably they twist their arm to give them a special price, or they buy in bulk or whatever, basically. So whatever the reason is, Dirk van den Broek is actually quite successful with that, and people go there for that reason. Now, they are not the most complete one, so they also have this thing. Okay, let me just have one or two varieties of a certain category. So they have a lot of stuff. They're very complete, but you maybe only have one or two choices in a category. So these are the opposite is, for example, a store like Jumbo or Albert Heijn in the Netherlands, which is more like we have everything. So, or they try to have everything. Of course, they don't have everything, but you can't, like even if they wanted to. But they are striving for a complete assortment. So if you are a consumer and you go to them and say, "Hey, I am missing this. I would like to have this," they will, turn everything upside down to make it happen. There is some sort of suggestion box or something like that where you can put in your suggestions, and especially privately owned stores, franchise stores, they will be able to be a little bit more flexible with that sort of stuff, even though the policy of both of these retailers is we want to give consumers a lot of choice. So 20 different types of peanut butter. Yeah. So in the end, it's more like about differentiating themselves as that they are the premium supermarket. If you look at Albert Heijn, is definitely a premium supermarket. Jumbo is trying to be also the cheapest on a lot of right, but they also have everything. So they want trying to be a little bit of both, and that's one of the things that differentiates those supermarkets. And um, important from a retail perspective is also to see which category grows, which one declines. So you have some categories that, of course, bring you a lot more margin. There are some bigger players that you can help some back margin support, basically from that. But to see where is the trend, which category grows, which one is actually under pressure. If there's a decline in people, the destination categories of your store are not matching with some categories, yeah, then it also doesn't make sense to really stock a lot. So or to grow that category. So this is one of the things that is strategic from a retailer perspective, and it's also important for a key account manager on the brand side, of course, to identify that. And from a retail perspective, I think everything goes to what brings people to my stores, which is also this fair value thing again, where if I have a supermarket and I'm not selling peanut butter, are there people who say, "Oh, and then in that case, I'll go to the other supermarket across town because they do have peanut butter and I can also do the rest of my groceries there." So that's the thinking process of retailers where, again, you were trying to be as complete as possible. So people don't want to go to different supermarkets. They actually don't have time anymore. So this is, in the past you would have, okay, I go past three or four supermarkets if you are having all the time in the world. So maybe old people who are already retired are doing that, so they make a bit of a habit. But those are not the consumers that are buying the big bags of groceries. Basically, they are usually consuming not that much, so because they're alone or they are only with two of them. So grandma, grandpa type of thing. But so this is one of the things that supermarkets really are focused on. So what brings people to my store? So it has to do with the area you're in. So if you look at the customer demographic is if you're next to a retirement home, yeah, good chance is that you will have a lot of senior citizens visiting your store. So you need to stock products for them. If you're right next to a high school and every break they are flooding your store and buying candy and soft drinks and energy drinks and all these things that kids these days are very interested in, it might be good to have those categories in more abundance than things for all people. So this is one of the things that retailers are constantly experimenting with and say, okay, this works here, this works there, but every store manager has a good view of like who is his or her customer. So um, that is one of the things that is really analyzed in detail. So if you look at the Netherlands, they have these complete customer profiles that they are communicating also to each of the staff. They're like big walls in the canteens, basically, that are being plastered with all these infographics. And yeah, I would say in other countries, like I've worked for quite a long time in Asia, where in Asia you yeah might have a less scientific approach per store at store level, but uh, this is also coming. Yeah, there's a lot of analysis going on at head office level. There are some retailers that are very advanced, just as advanced or maybe even more advanced than some of the European retailers, or the American retailers, and they are analyzing, okay, what is which store doing, where is which category on the rise and which category is in decline, and what kind of people are going to my store. So in the end, this is a matter of worldwide focus, where you say, okay, how do I get consumers to my store and make sure they don't go to the competitor. Then, from the brand's perspective, I spent most of my time working for a brand. I've worked, also for a supermarket chain, like I mentioned. So I've sat on both sides of the table. But in essence, the brand's perspective is like, where can we grow, and where can we grow the fastest, especially. So um, these are things that are decided at a strategic level. So let's say the board of directors are meeting about that at the start of the year. Okay, where are we going to focus? They will completely focus their supply chain on that as well. So, okay, this product category. Okay, then we are securing the raw materials, we're securing the packaging, we're securing the production capacity for that. We are focusing on these lines. Normally, it's attached to a forecast, a rolling forecast, where you are going to adjust that based on if there's anything going seriously different than you initially planned for. That is, for them a very big issue to identify where the growth has to come from. And growth comes from several sources. Can come from new channels, new areas, growth of the category that you're already playing in. It can be a new category, new product development that can also bring some growth, although very difficult to predict. I've gone into that in the previous video. And yeah, this is one of the things that really matters for the brand. So even at the level of sales manager, national sales manager, you need to really identify where does my growth come from, and what is actually does it align with the strategic direction of the company. So in some cases you have very interesting things. Like, for example, in Indonesia, I've noticed that there's this so Nestle, for example, has both liquid milk and milk powder. So they have a couple of brands, and also the sweetened condensed milk. The issue is that if they wanted to, they could be the biggest on liquid milk. For many, many years, they could have been, because Nestle is like this massive dairy company, of course, in the world. So they're massive, massive company, very good company. It's just that the focus from management is, okay, we are doing so well on milk powder that liquid milk has never been really a focus point for this company. So every single year, the planning, so the budget is actually flowing more to the milk powder rather than and sweetened condensed milk than to the liquid milk. So in essence, you are looking at, okay, rather than taking a strategic initiative, say, okay, I'm taking the profits from my milk powder, I'm investing it in liquid milk, and I'm going to really clean up on that side. It was a strategic consideration from local management, and maybe also the local sales force there, where when there's actually a budget and a target set, they say, okay, we can only grow this much because it's easier to focus on milk powder. I've said that also, it's more a high value item. So if you increase that a little bit by 1 or 2%, it's much more than 1 or 2% of milk, liquid milk, basically. So, I mean, I get it from a business perspective. It's just that at some point you see the trend is actually moving towards liquid milk. Liquid milk is actually more a growth category, and in powder there are quite a lot of cutthroat competition going on. So, I mean, that's one of the things is a choice from local management. Sometimes it's also a choice from the local, sales team actually that is playing a part of that. So um, that also links a little bit to the how to adapt and evolve your product range. So in essence, so this is one of the things where you need to have direct feedback from consumers, and in essence sales figures of course are feedback, because okay, something doesn't sell, that means consumers are not happy with it. Something sells very well, or something from the competition sells very well, that means there is something about it that ticks with consumers, something clicks basically. um, so what clicks? What is actually the next thing that clicks? Is there a niche that everybody has overlooked and could actually be very interesting? A very interesting niche to go into. So this is stuff that you need to. You can't think of that just behind, a table in the boardroom or desk in your office. You actually need to go to the field and talk to the salespeople, talk to consumers, and do a lot of research in order to get the answer to this question. But it's a very important question to ask: is how do you adapt and evolve your product range? So evolving meaning, it's now this. You can actually maybe add more different pack sizes. You can create different flavors. So okay, this just to give you an impression. Is a friend of mine who is the CEO of one of the milk companies in Indonesia. So he started with yogurt at some point, and yogurt drink, and then he moved into liquid milk, and he has several different flavors of chocolate. So there's very subtle differences in taste. So there are, and all of these flavors are doing quite well for him, because he's identified that there are multiple, yeah, taste varieties that you can achieve with chocolate milk, rather than okay, we have chocolate milk and it tastes like this. And there are multiple different. Maybe he will rationalize it at some point when there are certain SKUs that are doing really well and certain SKUs maybe that are not. But I mean, the point is like, he differentiates within even the flavor. He differentiates in different types of chocolate. So, like Belgian chocolate flavor or Swiss chocolate flavor, whatever, basically. So, all these things are multi chocolate. You're looking at different twists on the chocolate variety. Yeah, that's one of the largest flavor categories in milk in Indonesia. Flavored milk is like, so chocolate milk is basically by far the biggest milk SKU that is sold. So it makes sense to do that. So if you look at a more niche SKU, to say, oh, strawberry, and then we have three different types of strawberry milk, yeah, that is a very small SKU. Therefore, it doesn't make sense to split that up in different flavors. So it's just that, this company, they did very well with regards to cutting up those that niche basically. And just as an example of what is actually the next thing to evolve the product. So to create not only flavors but also pack sizes, where you say, okay, people would like to have suddenly a 1 liter pack of something, or you need to have a family pack, or with chips, for example, where you say you need to, rather than just having one bag where the chips are poured right in, maybe there is a big bag where you have a lot of small bags to actually hand out, which is still hygienic. Yeah, not all the kids are having their fingers in a big bag. You have small bags of chips inside, where this like a party pack, which Lay's did quite well in the world. So where they are, creating that SKU to have something. Okay, people are having a birthday party, I want to give something. Maybe they want to hand out something to other kids at school when they are being, or something like that, or something very small. I don't want to have the same flavor every time, so you can pack different flavors inside of one of those big SKUs. It's a bit like a sampling pack basically. That's also a brilliant idea from someone who has identified that is how to evolve the product range. So this is one of the things that is going very well in various markets worldwide. We've come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked what you saw. If not, then don't. I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.